Hey, here is a reflection on a book called The Rational Male by a character in the red pill space by the name of Rollo Tomassi. This book came my way via a podcast called Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit is an awesome podcast ran by two guys down here in Miami. Definitely check them out. Super inspirational. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to Rollo Tomassi, of course. Fair use, as they would say. So Tomassi talks about a lot of different topics in this book, but what piqued my interest most were some of the probability distributions that he presents. So I took it upon myself to roughly regenerate one of the probability distributions that he presents. So who is Tomassi? Rollo Tomassi is an author and podcaster whose work deals with masculinity and male-female dynamics. Definitely check him out on his social media handles. In this book, because it doesn't have any citations, low-key shade, it reads to me like a manifesto. So this book is his manifesto where he's calling on men to reconnect with their evolved form of masculinity as opposed to the form of masculinity that is being developed nowadays and being promoted by social media, by mainstream media, and by this concept he calls the feminine imperative. So what is the feminine imperative? I think of it as the collective consciousness of all females around the world combined. It is this collective organism that is always working to shape the world and to shape men into something that benefits women. So his work, his books provide men with tips, tools, and tricks to lead a more prosperous life. So let's jump into that probability distribution that I was speaking about. It's actually two probability distributions. So on the left, the pink dots, you have SMV for females as measured by males. And on the right, the blue dots, you have SMV for males as measured by females. So let me break that down. Well, first of all, let me say that SMV is sexual market value. So on the left, right? So let's say that you were to take 100,000 men and ask each man, right, to choose from a pool of females of various ages, which female he finds most attractive. So the data suggests that he will most likely choose a female between the ages of 20 and 22. On the flip side, right, the blue dot on the right, let's say that you have 100,000 females and you ask each woman to choose from a pool of males which male they find most attractive. It is most likely that a female will choose a male between the ages of 39 to 42, right? So the high points of a probability distribution is referred to as the mean. I've labeled it here. So you can see that the mean is centered around 20, late teens, early 20s for SMV in females as measured by males, and around 40 for SMV of males as measured by females. The next thing that you look at when you're looking at a probability distribution is something called the standard deviation. The standard deviation tells you how far away from the mean you'll find values. So SMV for females as measured by males has a lower standard deviation as compared to SMV for males as measured by females. So the higher the standard deviation is, the flatter or more spread out the probability distribution will be. So here you can see, right, out of 100,000 men, 5,305 of them selected the 21-year-old as being most attractive. Down here, you can see that 218 men out of 100,000 selected the 40-year-old as being most attractive. And it tapers off, right? Likewise, you'll see here, at the peak of SMV in males as measured by females, 4,201 females found the 40-year-old to be most attractive, right? And so that's how you can read this chart. So the standard deviation is lower for females. That means that there is a more narrow range of ages that women are intersexually viable at, right? So intersexually, males have a more stretched out peak, but the peak for females is higher, meaning that the most attractive female is more attractive than the most attractive male. But the most attractive male maintains his peak for 30% longer on average, or on a balance of probabilities, as compared to an average female. The next thing to notice is this thing called the skew. So for reference, in the background, I have put a normal distribution, right, for reference. A normal distribution means it's perfectly symmetrical around the mean point, meaning that there is no preference for either way. But you can see here that SMV for females as measured by males is skewed left, it's skewed down, it's skewed negative, meaning that on a balance of probabilities, a man is going to prefer a younger female. On the flip side, you can see that the SMV for males as measured by females is skewed up, it's skewed positive, it's skewed to the right, meaning on a balance of probabilities, a female prefers an older man. So that's the gist, the 101 of what you look at when you're looking at a probability distribution. So some other probability distributions that have the same, almost identical structure to this one is, for example, height distribution for men and women. You can see it is almost identical, right? So men show a wider range of height, and it is typically higher compared to females. Female height is more clustered around this value. So some other probability distributions are pay scale, right? This one has a similar shape. You can see that for higher amounts of money made, a higher percentage of men are making those higher amounts of money. And intelligence is pretty interesting. So here you can see overall, the most intelligent people are a small subset of men, right? In STEM, more analytical fields, men dominate. In non-analytical fields, women dominate. Anyways, you have to verify this by experiment, right? Never trust, always verify, but I'm just giving you the gist, a little 101 on probability distributions. So on to the next one. Enjoy.